Lesson 10 on Marriage. Ernest Barker. Introduction. Sir Ernest Barker has written several books on political science and an autobiography. He had a very healthy educational background. His writings prove his concern for tradition. On Marriage is from his book, The Values of Life. In this essay, he tries to establish the truth that a family is a complete society in miniature. Contents. Ernest Barker believed that the family is a single society. But writers of social and political subjects considered the family as a federal society with three different groups. The family, consisting of the man and wife, parents and children, and master and servants. They refused to unite them together, nor would they recognize the family as a society. The German philosopher Leibniz made a fourth division. Barker says that these three constitute a single society. The father is a husband and master at once. It is this oneness that really matters. The nuptial society exists only during the days of honeymoon. This passage of time converts them into father and mother. So marriage means understanding and adjustments of two persons for a common way of life. It includes happiness and sadness, disagreement and reconciliation, differences and compromises. In other words, the institution of marriage will thrive successfully only with debates and compromises. According to Barker, basic temperamental differences exist between a man and woman. The process of metabolism is constant in man, while it is unstable in woman. For example, illness disturbs a man violently, while a woman takes it as a part of normal life. Man always craves for novelty. He may suffer from vexing impatience, but a sweet smile from his partner cures it off and pins man down to stability and good sense, says Barker. He maintains that men and women, being partners, should learn to respect the differences of each other. That the secret of real nuptial happiness lies only in striking a golden mean between differences. Therefore, a perfect marriage is qualified by identical interest and pursuit. It grows perfect if the difference itself become a complement. It will be possible if the difference is approached sympathetically and solved. Both should be mutually frank and inform the other his or her interest and pursuit. Either must strive for togetherness, lest the fun of anything will be lost. Togetherness is very much indispensable. This is true in cultivating some permanent and regular habit or interest. A husband without an ear for music also derives the benefit if he escorts his music-loving wife. They gain mutually. Such habits will subscribe harmony to the nuptial life. They may hunt apart, but must not forget to report among themselves what transpired. Such seeming trifles may contribute to quiet and calm felicity. So, a calculated and well planned rule of life is to a certain extent desirable. This kind of monastic strictness would enrich the sense of cooperation and comradeship in both. This will eventually pave way for the perennial continuance of romances. Barker opines that usually romances will have some sensuous cues. Even a cessation of the cues will not tamper either the romances or the marital bliss, which transcends the senses. So even in old age the peacock's wing of romance may still flutter. There are divergent views about marriage. Some old writers reduce the institution of marriage to a mere partnership agreement, meant for a little temporary interest. Some others advocate that a master-servant attitude will be good. But there is more in marriage than being a mere contract. He concurs with the views of Edmund Burke on society. He says it deserves to be revered, and it is not a mere partnership for temporary carnal desires. He holds the view that it is an inherent part of a divine scheme behind our mortal existence. Accordingly, the agreement of the parties becomes an agreement to fit into that scheme. To put it in the words of the Catholic theologians, the institution of marriage is a corpus mysticum. So marriage becomes a mutual bondage to one end. This would certainly cause destruction. So death alone would prove adequately that it is something more than a mere agreement. Summary. The author begins by describing family as a single society and shows how writers of social and political subjects describe family as a federal society with three different groups. According to the author, a close examination will reveal that the three different groups are in reality a single entity. The author praises marriage as an understanding and adjustment between two persons for a common way of life. He goes on to explain that the institution called marriage will be healthy only if both man and woman have mutual respect for each other and follow a certain discipline in all matters. He refuses to accept marriage as a social contract merely for temporal carnal desires. The author is of the view that though there are inherent metabolic differences between a male and a female, such differences should be treated as complements if the institution called marriage has got to be rewarding in life. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe and share.